What's going on, my good people? We back once again for the Be More Show, and I gotta ask you, are you ready? Are you ready for the show today? Cause look, it's an entire different set of circumstances than what we got to talk about last week. We were previewing a game, we were getting ready for some playoff action, and then we was all there. We was there for the heartbreak of what that game truly was. Truly a loss that is going to go down in Ravens history as one of the more frustrating ones. Like out of the playoff losses, I mean, I'm kind of curious. I just want to know down below what you guys think. But out of the playoff losses that the Ravens have had as of late, so we're talking, I'll take it all the way back to 2018 with Lamar Jackson's rookie year. We can go 2019 against the Titans. We can go. I mean, of course. I mean, we can throw in the Tyler Huntley game with the Cincinnati Bengals. That's always an interesting one to talk about because there was a little bit of heartbreak on that one. The Chiefs last year, of course, and this year with the Bills. I don't even know if I have an answer for that. I might honestly let y'all comment down below, and I might have to think on that a little bit and come back to you. But look, we got to get right into it. Shout out to 86 Ghosts hanging out once again. Offensively bad. Look. This offense. Look, I just need to jump right into it, man. I just need to jump right into it. Okay. Shout out to Yolanda B. Yes, I agree. I am still sad about this. I still don't know. Like, honestly, I'm gonna be real with y'all. And you know, I love being transparent with y'all on this show. Today is the first day I've talked about the game. Not only on this platform, but in general. In general. All right. Today is the first day I have talked about this game since it happened on Sunday. Like, of course, I talked after the game, but luckily for myself, no one has asked a question to me. I don't know if they just could feel the hurt in my in my heart. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I'll be honest with y'all. This is the first time. Today is the first time I've been asked about it. Like coworkers have stayed clear of me all week, because of the way this one went down and the frustration of it, and all that. So it's very, very interesting how that played out. That of course I'm here with y'all tonight, but also earlier today was the first time I've had to talk about this game. And yeah, Yolanda B, I mean, it just hurts. Like I was talking about it before. Um, I was talking about it before. I looked at Raven C's recap, and I'm just like, just all the hurt just comes back. All the hurt. Shout out to Raven C. Shout out to Lana B. 86 Ghost here too. Like, look, all the hurt. Okay, all the hurt. It just comes back to you, especially watching the recap. You can see the hurt in his eyes, see the frustration. Like, it's like, are you kidding me? It takes you back to a moment in time. 86 said that's why I cover food, not sports, because bro, like, they might be in jail for what he got to say. Look, these Ravens they get you in your field sometimes. Like, and the funny part about, and this is completely off script. This has nothing to do with anything I'm talking about right now. But it's just so funny, man, because the Ravens have a way of doing this to you, right? Like, they get your hopes up. They really do, right? And the expectation is different. It's funny. For those of y'all who don't know, I'm a Philadelphia 76ers fan when it comes to basketball. So I watched the whole process play out. And I tell you what, I'd be cheering so hard for the 76ers, even though I knew they was gonna lose, but they were so close in the end, and then they would lose the game. But the funny part about it is, I'll put it to you like this: the Ravens have a different level of expectation now. Like, there's more expectation on the Ravens to win, and Lamar Jackson specifically to win, by, not only us, but just more so outside sources than anything, than there ever was on Joe Flacco, Trent Dilfer, Kyle Bowler, any of these guys, Steve McNair when he was around here, right? Like, there's so much pressure and so much like riding on what's going down. And honestly, I feel like we're gonna be all right though. I feel like just looking at it, especially even if you look back to the Tyler Huntley game against the Bengals, like you're right there. You're right there. The only thing that's in the Ravens' way is the Ravens. Let's jump into that. Let's jump into that topic because I gotta be real with y'all, okay? I do. All right. Last week I sat up on this platform and I told a bold-faced lie. All right. I did. Okay. I thought I was telling the truth in the moment. So granted, okay, I'll give myself some leeway. I thought I was telling the truth in the moment. Okay. I sat up in here last week on full record, full live stream, and said the Ravens offense is unstoppable. Ain't nobody stopping them. Ain't nobody stopping them. Can't nobody stop the Ravens offense. Nobody. No team in this league can stop the Ravens offense. You know why? Because the Ravens run the football. The Ravens run the football. And you know why that's important? Because everybody in the league is conditioned to defend the pass. So the fact that the Ravens run the football, nobody's stopping this team. Nobody is stopping this offense. There's no freaking way. And I'm sorry. I got to apologize to y'all. I lied. Okay? I lied because I forgot. I needed a mirror in my hand with a Ravens logo attached to it because the only team in this league that can keep the Ravens from realistically being a dynasty at this point is the Ravens. I can recall for a fact off the top of my head 3 times where us as Ravens fans felt like the Ravens could possibly be Super Bowl bound. Of course, we know 2019. This year, considering what the Chiefs have been putting on tape, and also you can say the last matchup with the Bills, and you can even say if you play a clean game, we having a whole different conversation today. The Ravens are the Ravens' own worst enemy, and I've been hearing that a lot lately. And it's funny, Myles Garrett mentioned it again when the Ravens lost to the Browns. Myles Garrett mentioned it. He said, honestly, ain't nobody stopping this team but themselves. If you can turn them over, you can win the game. But other than that, if they play perfect football, you're not beating this team. You're simply not. You're not beating this team. They're too good. They're too talented. There's too much talent all over the darn place. And I gotta apologize to y'all because I lied. I really did. I lied to y'all because I really did. I thought this offense was different. I did. I didn't think this offense was going to get in their own way. And what did they do? Time and time again against the Bills, got in their own way. Now, do I think that's going to continue for years and years and years to come? Because I don't know how long we got Derrick Henry for and some of our other Pro Bowlers that's on the team. Honestly, it's going to be another one of those years whereas Ravens fans, we're just waiting to the playoffs to see what the Ravens going to do in the playoffs. Because we know the Ravens will be fine. We know as long as Lamar Jackson is around, the Ravens will be fine, right? They're going to be Super Bowl contenders until Lamar Jackson decides to hang up the cleats for good. We know that. We know for a fact that the Ravens are Super Bowl contenders until proven otherwise. Now, getting to considered Super Bowl contenders and getting to the Super Bowl, whole different conversation. Okay, I get that. But I will say, and I will say I don't want to discredit the Bills, but I know for a darn fact, shout out to to the Bills fans that came out to the stream last week and the preview and whatnot, because I surely didn't see any Bills fans before the game. I mean, I looked for them. I looked all over. I could not find them, but they found their way to the stream after the win. And shout out to them because they did get the win. They did get the win, but it tells you something. I'm not much of a trash talker myself, but it does tell you something when people show up after the game. That means I don't know how much you trusted you guys, right? I don't, as Ravens fans, we trust our guys. We like our guys, okay? We do. We like our guys. But for the Bills, I don't know. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what the Bills do, because I think the Bills, it just depends, because the Bills kind of are on a like short leash right now. Because who's to say they're going to have the same offensive output they had this year next year? But anyway, I'm not going to get too much into the Bills because they in the AFC Championship game and the Ravens are not, so I need to be nice. But you know, the Ravens' worst enemy is the Ravens, and we've known this for years. And honestly, I mean, we can probably realistically say it's been like that since John Harbaugh took over. If we want to branch out the discussion a little bit more into a coaching discussion, we can be realistic in probably saying, you know, since John Harbaugh took over, this team has been the most penalized team. This team has been illy prepared for games that they should definitely be prepared for. This team, when favored, especially in the playoffs, has came up short every single time. You know, so that could be honestly attributed a little bit to John Harbaugh. But I understand John Harbaugh didn't fumble the ball. John Harbaugh didn't throw an interception or anything like that. John Harbaugh didn't drop the ball at the end of the game. But at the same time, and I've always wondered about this, and you know, we know how John Harbaugh is with time management specifically. I've always wondered, how did we not have 3 timeouts at the end of the game? I don't remember what led to us taking that last timeout. You know, the third timeout, to keep 3 timeouts to be able to get the ball back at the end of the game after we missed the 2-point conversion, and not have to just rely on an onside kick, which, to be honest with y'all, the onside kick might as well not even be in the game. Like they're gonna have to come up with something else that's worth watching than a 0.01% chance of an onside kick being recovered. But I mean, I just had to come on here and apologize a little bit and tell y'all I was sorry for lying about the Ravens offense, because if anything is gonna get in the way of the Ravens offense, it's gonna be the Baltimore Ravens, unfortunately. But you know what? That, you know, this is their moment, right? This is their time to prove this, you know, that they can play a clean game in the playoffs. It's funny, and real quick, I do want to mention this. I'm gonna put this back up just so we know. But I want to mention this because last week, and I never really go back to my notes, but the last couple of weeks I have been, especially since I've been doing this 5-point preview system. And it's funny because the only thing that the Ravens did that they probably shouldn't have done was avoid turnovers, right? That was the only thing. The only thing, like I have right here, what the Ravens have to do to win this game is avoid turnovers, run the ball, and somebody's going to have to step up in the passing game, right? And then the things they have to avoid defensively was big plays and, you know, making sure that Brandon Stevens wasn't left one-on-one. And honestly, I thought Brandon Stevens played well. I thought they limited big plays for the most part. Honestly, I thought Bate stepped up pretty well, likely stepped up pretty well in the passing game. I mean, you can, with turnovers and stuff like that, I think you can honestly, you know, have a little bit of gray area with that point. But still, you know, I think people stepped up. It just wasn't executed properly. And I feel like they ran the ball. Justice Hill was running all over the Bills defense. Derrick Henry was running all over the Bills defense. It was just the turnovers. And we talked about, you know, and it's funny, you know, listening to the talking heads on all the different networks. It's funny to kind of hear them talk about the fact that was the, you know, that was the reason, right? That was the reason. It was turnovers. And I think we all can agree with that. You know, that the Bills, you know, we're going to give people credit, and because they protected the ball, because they managed the game, that's it, right? You know, because, you know, they did what they had to do to win, and all full disclosure, they did do that, right? I mean, I think there was a stat out there that when the Ravens lose a turnover battle by 2 or more, they lose the game, any game, regular season or anything like that, because it's just so hard to come, you know, to come back from. But anywho, regardless, I just had to let y'all know that I lied about the Ravens offense, and I have to I have to apologize because I mean it's not right for me to just sit up here and lie on y'all. But real quick, we're gonna get into the next point. Remember that the Be More shows on all major podcasting platforms. So just to fill y'all back in, but I gotta go to the next point. Okay, I gotta go to the next point, and so our guy Mark Andrews and also Derrick Henry have decided to say something after this game. Well, I heard that Mark Andrews. I know that Mark Andrews was kind of silent for a while, right? Like he was away. He was gone. Like Mark Andrews was nowhere to be found. Like he wasn't in the final locker cleanup or anything like that. And to be honest, with all the pressure that was on him and the frustration of that, I honestly don't blame you. I don't blame him, right? I mean, he needed some time. Like I mean, like you want to talk about like you think you have a bad day at work, and then it's on full display for everybody to see, and you feel like as a player you cost the team a chance at a Super Bowl. It's kind of like y'all remember last year with Zay, right? Now you're gonna give Zay a little bit more leeway because he's a rookie at the time. But similar fashion here, you felt like Mark Andrews cost the Ravens the game for a lot of fans, right? And for us as fans, that's what we're gonna do, right? That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna overreact, right? We're gonna say Mark Andrews gotta go, right? We're gonna say Isaiah Likely is tight end 1, right? We're gonna say that, Mark Andrews, for lack of a better term, is not that guy, right? Pal, not that guy, pal. Look, we gonna say it, okay? We gonna say it, all right? We gonna say it as fans. Now, do we always mean it? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, right? For a lot of Ravens fans, I'm sure Isaiah Likely's phone ringing off the hook, okay? But for others of us, or some other Ravens fans, I'm not putting myself in either camp right now. I'm staying neutral, okay? I'm staying neutral, staying objective. For some of us, it's like this is our guy, Mark Andrews is our dude, right? Mark Andrews is, and I hate to use the loaded language here, but the greatest drafted tight end that the Ravens have had, right? Maybe the greatest Ravens tight end of all time, depending on who you ask. Depends on who you ask. If he's the greatest, Ravens tight end ever, got a we talked about it before. Got a big rapport with Lamar, and we've talked about it. We've talked about Mark Andrews and what he means to this team and how frustrating it has been to see some of his playoff struggles. But Mark Andrews had something to say, okay? Mark Andrews had a little bit to say, and I'm going to read it for y'all, for my viewing audience, for my listening audience. I'm going to read it for y'all so y'all know what's going on. Y'all know what he had to say. He said it's impossible. So this was what, today? So this was Thursday. This came out on Thursday. It's impossible to adequately express how I feel. I'm absolutely gutted by what happened on Sunday. I'm devastated for my teammates, my coaches, and Ravens fans. I pour every ounce of my being into playing at the highest level possible because I love my team and the game of football like nothing else. This is why it has taken me until now to collect my thoughts and address this publicly. Even though the shock and disappointment are unlike anything I felt before, I refuse to let the situation define me. I promise that this adversity will only make me stronger and fuel us as we move forward. I want to thank everyone who's shown our team and me genuine support these past several days. Despite the negativity, I've seen a heartfelt love and encouragement, including from those who generously donated to the Breakthrough T1D organization, which I think is his organization, if I'm not mistaken. Even when the moment seems the darkest, Perspective can reveal that there is still a lot of light in this world. I'm going to do my part to bounce back and contribute to it. Hashtag God bless. I can't see the emojis from all the way over here, but um, you know, taking accountability. I don't know if he was interviewed after the game. I can almost assure you that he probably wasn't. Um, but I mean, I think a lot of us kind of drew parallels to like the Lee Evans situation, where Lee Evans had a chance to kind of seal the deal for the Ravens, and it just didn't happen. I think it drew a lot of parallels to that. Now, I mean, I think Mark Andrews caliber of player wise is a little different. But like I said, I understand the frustration. I'm right here with y'all on being frustrated by the way it played out. But do I think that, regardless of what any of us feel or any of us want to happen, do I really think Mark's going anywhere? No, I don't. I don't think it's going to be a Lee Evans situation because, when that happened with Lee Evans was cut pretty quick. Billy Cundiff was cut pretty quick. Justin Tucker was brought in real quick, to make up for that. But I mean, I think I really do. I think I know it's a joke, and I know we pick a lot about we trust our guys, but I think that's what it is. I think simply that's what it is. I think for a guy who's shown up for this team time and time again, I know his play. Look, I'm right here with y'all. We here together. I get it. His playoff stuff hasn't been the best. Okay, I understand that. I'm right. I'm right here with y'all, right? But I think at the same time, I think this entire team has a lot to think about, mull over, and do better next year, especially particularly that second game of the postseason, right? Depending on what goes down. Like, I think Mark Andrews will be fine. Shout out to Yolanda B. She said the same thing. I think Mark Andrews will remain with the team next year. I mean, I agree. I mean, I think you know Mark Andrews is probably. I know I put people into the Hall of Fame way too quickly sometimes, but I mean, Mark Andrews, for the way he's played, is probably he may not be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he'll probably end up being a Hall of Famer because we got to remember he was the Ravens' leading receiver for 6 years of his career. I mean, the thing with Mark Andrews is like he'll be fine. I I think this entire team needs something different, right? Which is a question that I'm about to answer from you, Yolanda B. This team needs something different. This team shows up unprepared a lot. Okay, a lot. They really do. And I think like that's something to be said about the coaching staff. It really is. It really is. Let me get to your question, Yolanda B. So, am I surprised? Okay, pull up. Are you surprised that Harbaugh was not fired after the loss to the Bills? I want y'all to answer this below too. Yolanda, be curious to hear your answer, as well, since you didn't ask the question. I don't know if there's anything that the Ravens do that surprises me at this point, to be honest. Especially and like kind of, for lack of a better term, kind of being stuck in their ways. I'm not surprised that Harbaugh was not fired. Um, like I talked about after the game, I think there's a whole nother discussion that needs to be talked about when it comes to John Harbaugh and this team. And the 2008, and there's something to be said about longevity. That's obvious, right? You've been the coach for a long, long time, and I think there is something to be said about longevity. But at the same time, you can't just keep doing the same things and expecting different results. That's not how it works. And when I say that, I mean you can't keep this has been what, 7 years of the same thing realistically. I think there's 2 years that don't count, right? There's 2 years that don't count. Um, in this regard, right? There's the year that there's the 2 years Lamar was injured, right? Those are the years that don't count to me. Lamar being out with the bone bruise, and Tyler Huntley ends up playing against the Bengals. That doesn't. I mean, that doesn't count against. I don't think that counts against anybody really. Uh, you're put in a tough situation, and then if I'm not mistaken, I'm thinking the game against the Bills. Well, Lamar didn't finish the game. I think because Lamar didn't finish the game, even though your team still didn't play well. I don't know if you judge it as harshly as you would if Lamar finished the game. Yolanda said, I was a bit surprised, especially since we made it to the AFC Championship game the year before and couldn't make it at least back this year. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I think it's just the Ravens though. Like, I think some other maybe, and I don't want to. It don't matter. I think sometimes I don't know if the Ravens are as cutthroat as other organizations are. To be honest, I think and I said this in my instant reaction video. I think the Ravens are a good bubble team right now, right? Unfortunately, right? They're gonna be in the conversation every like a team that could be a Super Bowl team. Like I'm talking about multiple, not just one Super Bowl, multiple Super Bowls, but they can't make it over the hump, so they always end up being a bubble team, which means Harbaugh will never get touched because you're doing just well enough for you to kind of skate by. And they always say winning is the best deodorant. They always say winning covers up a lot of things. And because winning covers up a lot of things, you really don't get a chance like to really view Harbaugh and creators out there, Yolanda B, Sip the Tally, Rogue Pod, Raven C, TTB, Engraven. If I'm missing somebody, let me make sure you put them in the comments because I know I'm missing a bunch of y'all. 410 Sports Talk, all of them, like all our Ravens content creators, because what's different about being a content creator versus being maybe a TV person about that, right? Number two, we're fans first, right? We're fans first. So because we're fans first, we have that kind of knee-jerk reaction to things, but also we see everything, right? We see what's going on Wired. We see what's going on, but the mutinies from before with Harbaugh, right? We see the same mistakes happening over and over and over again. And sometimes, to give the TV personalities a little bit of slack, to cut them a little bit of slack here, sometimes they don't get a chance to watch every single snap like Ravens fans are going to get to. So that's why, you got to support your Ravens content creators because of that, because we're going to have a different perspective than those guys are going to have. And we probably going to have the more real perspective than anything. And back to what you were saying, yeah, I mean, I expected to make it to the AFC Championship game this year. At least, honestly, the way the Ravens were playing, and even, I didn't get a chance to mention this last week because I couldn't get the video to pop up, but Lamar Jackson was talking about this in the Steelers game, and he was just saying, like, I'm not trying to force anything, I'm not going to force. He literally said, I'm gonna paraphrase here, but he literally said, I'm not gonna force it. It's either a touchdown or incompletion. I ain't throwing, I'm not throwing interceptions. I'm not doing that. And he said that against the Steelers. And I just felt like this team felt different, right? I felt like Lamar was just locked in a little bit differently than usual. Now, mistakes are gonna happen. Even when you're locked in, mistakes can happen, right? And I mean, like we talked about before, the second half, Lamar Jackson was practically perfect. It's just everybody else wasn't perfect. So it makes your mistakes that much bigger in the construct of the game, because if Mark Andrews catches that football and we go to overtime and you win that game in overtime, some of these discussions we not having, right? Some of these discussions we're not having because you found a way to win the game. The one thing I can say about the Chiefs, especially, I think the Bills have done a little bit this year too. But the one hook or by crook, they're gonna win games. By hook or by crook, they're going to win games. Right? We saw it all season long. Let's be honest. The Chiefs are not that good. They're simply not. Right? And it's hard. It's funny. I was talking to my wife about this. It's hard to explain why the Chiefs are not that good, right? To like more casual football fans, right? Or people who just happen to watch it when you watching it or whatever. It's hard to explain because the record says what the record says. You are what your record says you are. And that's a lot of what casual fans believe too. And at the end of the day, you're still finding ways to win. So yes, skill wise, the Chiefs aren't as good as they've been before. Scheme wise, the Chiefs probably aren't as good as they've been before, right? But they find ways to win, and that's one of the no matter what, that's one of the biggest mistakes that the Ravens have to figure out. Everybody can't fold over, right? And when I say fold over, sometimes it ain't even your fault, right? But everybody got to, when Lamar Jackson throws an interception, the rest of the team got to step up and rally behind him. You can't have interceptions, penalties, fumbles, drop passes, and expect to win because and the reason I say that, and the reason I say that is because let's just be honest. Look at the Chiefs' very first Super Bowl run back in 2019. The Chiefs were down by double digits in every game. Came back and won all four of them. I'm trying to think. Did they play 4 games a year? At least 3. I mean, they came back and they were down. Regardless, it don't matter. If it don't matter if it's 4 or 3, it doesn't matter. The Chiefs were down by multiple possessions. Specifically, I think it was 10 in a variety of those games. Every single game of those playoffs, Super Bowl included, and they find ways to win games. To this day, still do the same thing. Mistakes do not bother the Chiefs. And that's where the Ravens got to get to. That's what championship teams do, right? Championship teams, successful people, successful businesses, regardless of what it is, if you're going to be a success in anything, it's never going to be a linear process. It's never going to be a linear process. And the Ravens have to figure out, and I don't know if that is a coaching change, it's going to help that. But the Ravens have to figure out what they do wrong. They have to, and how to fix it. How to fix it specifically, because for 17 weeks of the regular season, the Ravens can play like world beaters, but we all know it's going to be 2 or 3, more so this year, 4 or 5 games that the Ravens lose that they had no business losing, right? They looked flat. They showed up flat. They didn't look well coached, for lack of a better term. And the Ravens have to snap out of that. They have to. And I think that's the biggest thing. So kind of long story short, or short story long, I guess, in this regard, I wasn't surprised that Harbaugh wasn't fired, but I think a lot of us who talk about the Ravens, we probably were a little, we probably are calling for it more now, because we've been calling for it for the last couple years. Because how do you lose in the same ways over and over again, specifically in the playoffs, when the lights are the brightest, right? You can't get your team calmed down enough for them to get right. And I know, they want to put the blame on Lamar because he had the fumble and the interception early in the game, but I don't know if I saw it, and I was so excited to see how the second half was going to play out because the fans were on Lamar. They were on Lamar going into the locker room, and he was like, okay. He was like, okay. He was smiling at him. He was like, okay, I got something for y'all. Now he didn't say that. I'm just saying that's what it looked like. It looked like one of those like competitive, like, oh yeah, I got something for y'all in the second half. That's all right. This game ain't over. And Lamar Jackson came out and played a perfect second half. Right. Lamar Jackson didn't Lamar Jackson was calm, right? Lamar Jackson was calm at that point in time. Right. Now everybody else, specifically, and I hate to keep piling on a dude, but specifically Mark Andrews obviously wasn't. Something was up. Something was wrong. It was an off game for him. Dude ain't fumbled since 2019. I think against the Titans. Like, I mean, that's what I'm gonna say. And I mean, you said, kind of back to what you said. You said you were a bit surprised, and I mean, yeah, but kind of like we said before, you're in the divisional round again. And the hard part too. I'll put it to you like this, and I'm gonna wrap it up. The hard part about it too, especially for the Ravens, I think it would be different, and you got to look at it, from all sides, right? Imagine being a front office. Imagine being the owner of the Ravens, right? You got this guy who's been the head coach for 15 or so years, right? He's won a Super Bowl for you. So obviously he's got that pedigree. He's more than likely going to, and you're literally this close from winning all of your playoff games, right? With the exception of the Bills in 2019. Not 2019, 2020. With the exception of the Bills in 2020, you're this close. I'm talking about you are in the Titans game, you're a little bit of time away from coming back in that game. In the Bengals game, you are Tyler Huntley not jumping over the top and just going for a regular QB sneak from winning that game. And Lamar might be back next week, right? And even in the Chargers game, like, we're talking about time. If you had a minute more, you probably come back in that game. You're one possession down. If you can get one stop, that's another part of it too. In the Titans game and in the Chargers game in 2018 and 2019 respectively, you are one defensive stop away from getting the ball back and your offense has all the momentum, right? Last year, if Zay Flowers doesn't jump up to try to get the touchdown and just hits the ground, you get a couple more cracks at scoring that touchdown, and you're right back in the game against the Chiefs for a chance to win the Super Bowl. This year, I mean, it was a variety of mistakes, but specifically, you're going to look back on the 2-point conversion. Perfect play call, perfect execution, just the catch wasn't there. That's it. Just the catch wasn't there. So, like, I think for front office members, honestly, I think for the front office, I think it's hard. I think for the front office, it's hard to justify firing John Harbaugh when you're literally this close to being in not only multiple AFC championship games, but possibly multiple Super Bowls, and you already got kind of the core already there. I think it's hard for them. Now, for us as fans, I mention real quick what Derrick Henry had to say about the about coming back to the Ravens, possibly. Okay, now he's on a 2-year deal, so as long as he wants to come back and he don't feel like retiring or nothing like that, he's welcome back, of course, unless something crazy happens and the Ravens decide not to part ways with him. But considering you just had a 1,900-yard rusher at the age of over 30 years old, I think you'll be fine. But Derrick Henry said he's ready to run it back. Okay, he's ready to run it back. All right, this guy right here, the 1,900-yard rusher, should have been 2,000 over. Anyway, look, I still will say MVP candidate. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what y'all say. All right. Derrick Henry said he's gonna run it back, so I'm excited. I think honestly, y'all, Derrick Henry adds a new wrinkle to this offense that we talked about before. Like Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins. I mean, even some of these other guys, like we talking Melvin Gordon. We talking. I can't even remember some of the guys that was on the darn team. The Ravens had a really good historic offense with those guys. So you just make it better with Derrick Henry. And if Derrick Henry comes back anywhere near the back he was this year, I mean, we talking about a 1,200-yard back. If Derrick Henry comes back as a 1,200-yard back next year, it'll still be hard to stop. It's the same darn running back, but I'm excited. I mean, if anything, you get your guys back, and I think that's a big part of it too. Zay will be healthy again. Like we said before, we know what the Ravens are going to do in the regular season. We do. We know what they're going to do. We know what the Ravens are going to do in the regular season. It's just going to be the playoffs that we got to have a conversation about. It's realistically that. It's just the playoffs that we got to have a conversation about. And we definitely will, but y'all, I appreciate y'all for coming by. Appreciate 86 Ghost for hanging out on the live stream as usual. Yolanda B been hanging out for the last couple of weeks as well, so I definitely appreciate you. Y'all check them out. I mean, 86 Ghost got the food. They got the recipes or something over there. Look, y'all have to check 86 Ghost out over there. And then of course Yolanda B, if you want that Ravens content, always great perspectives from her. Love to listen to her reactions and feedback on everything too. It's always a lot of fun. I mean, so many good and different opinions in this Ravens content creator space right now. So it's definitely good for us. But I definitely hope you guys enjoy the show. As always, remember that this show, the Be More Show, is on all major podcasting platforms. So I'm gonna put that out there one more time. If you need to go over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, anything like that, and you need to let me know. All right. So just go, take the show with you. You can start your own Ravens queue over there. But definitely hope you guys enjoy the show. We'll see you guys on the next episode of the Be More Show. Until next time.